Buried alive, she opened her eyes to monsters. The air was thick, hot, choking, wrong. Her lungs burned as she sucked in a gasp of sulfur-heavy air. Cracked lips parted. Dust filled her mouth. Her chest seized violently. Coughing, gagging, she clawed her way to consciousness. She was buried beneath stone, soil, and fragments of metallic debris. Her arms trembled as she pushed upward, bloodied fingers scraping against jagged rock. The surface gave way, just enough for her face to break through. She sucked in air again, foul, but breathable. Her four-lobed eyes fluttered open. Red sky, purple fog, screeching in the distance, and then she remembered nothing. A rush of fragmented thoughts, pain, a struggle, voices shouting, a bright pulse. Then silence, darkness, and now, this dot. She dragged herself free of the rubble. Her body trembled uncontrollably, thin, bruised, unfamiliar in weight. She wasn't wearing any armor, just bare skin marked by shallow, glowing sigils. Her cast tattoos burned dull now, like a language erased. Her hands pressed into the dirt as she staggered to her feet. The landscape sprawled before her like a nightmare. Twisted towers pierced the ground like jagged teeth. Metallic bones of ancient machines lay half submerged in mossy decay. Giant fungi pulsed with internal bioluminescence, painting everything in a sickly green hue. But worse than the decay were the sounds, snarls, low guttural growls. She wasn't alone. Something was watching her. Multiple somethings. Their shapes moved in the foglow to the ground, their eyes glowing like coals. She took a step back, slipping on loose gravel, barely catching herself. A creature stepped forward. 7 feet long, black exoskeleton glistening, its jaw unhinged with a wet crackle, revealing spiraled fangs. She froze. Its tongue flicked in the air, smelling her. Another shape appeared to her left, then 2 more. They were circling her. She looked around. No weapons, no cover. Her body wasn't strong enough to run. They're going to tear me apart, she thought. Just like they were meant to. Her legs gave out. She dropped to her knees, hands over her chest, ready for the pain. Then a beam of white light blasted through the fog. The monsters hissed and scattered, vanishing into the mist. She shielded her eyes. The light was artificial, sharp, controlled. Footsteps, mechanical, deliberate. Someone was coming. A silhouette emerged, tall, humanoid, wrapped in an armored environmental suit. Glowing patches along the chest flickered as the figure approached slowly, cautiously. She couldn't move. Her heart raced. Her breath came in gasps. The figure knelt before her, a helmet tilted down, its visor dark. Then a mechanical voice crackled through the translator. "Do you understand me?" Her lips trembled. She tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. He reached toward her. She flinched instinctively. "It's okay," the voice said. "You're safe now." "No," she wanted to scream. "No, I'm not. No one is." Then the edges of her vision collapsed inward. The last thing she saw was his hand reaching for her, and then blackness. She awoke to warmth. A fire crackled nearby, its orange light dancing across the jagged walls of a cave. Her body ached, bandaged now in rough fabric. A nutrient patch clung to her neck, pumping fluids into her bloodstream. She shifted slightly, and pain shot through her ribs, but she was alive. She turned her head. The human sat nearby, helmet off, face illuminated by firelight. He was older than she expected, rough beard, tired eyes. His skin was pale, except for the dirt smudged across his cheek. He was working on a small device, some kind of portable scanner. He hadn't noticed she was awake yet. She sat up slowly. The motion caught his attention. He turned, startled, but then relaxed. "You're lucky," he said. "They would have ripped you apart." She didn't respond. He reached into a pack beside him and pulled out a canister, rolled it toward her. "Water. Go easy." She stared at it suspiciously, then grabbed it and took a cautious sip. Her throat thanked her. "I'm Eli," he said. "Dottore Lee Mercer, Exoanthropology and Recon Team, Earth Sector." She flinched at the word Earth. "Human." He noticed. "You understand me?" Slowly she nodded. Eli leaned forward. "Who are you?" Silence. "I found you under a pile of stone and biometal. Some kind of containment chamber. You were barely alive." "Still." She said nothing. Eli's brow furrowed. "You were left there on purpose, weren't you?" A long pause. Then she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Exile." The word sent a chill through Eli. He asked gently. She looked at him, and for the first time, he saw it, the sorrow in her eyes. The kind of sorrow that came from betrayal. She turned her head and stared into the fire. Hours passed. They sat in silence, the sound of distant beasts echoing through the valley outside the cave. Eli tapped his communicator again. Still no signal. His orbiting ship had gone dark. Great, he muttered. Either the storm fried the link, or Command thinks I'm dead. She watched him. He shouldn't have stopped, she said finally. Her voice was still weak, but clearer now. You should have left me there. He looked at her, and let those things eat you alive. Her expression was unreadable. That was the point. Eli frowned. What are you talking about? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached toward her neck, pulled down the fabric, and revealed a small, glowing implant embedded beneath her collarbone. Eli's eyes widened. That's not standard tech. No, she said. It's forbidden tech. The implant pulsed faintly. It was alive. He leaned closer. What is it? She stared at him. It's why they buried me. They broke camp at first light. Eli guided her carefully through the dense forest of fungal pillars and broken ruins. The landscape was bizarrely entangled with ancient machinery. Vines grew through shattered control panels, hollowed out. Drones lay like skeletons in the underbrush. We shouldn't be out here long, Eli muttered, checking his scanner. Too many energy spikes. Something's drawing power again. She didn't respond. He glanced back at her. What's your name? She hesitated. Then. Rin, he repeated. Nice to meet you. Even if it's under awful circumstances. They moved in silence for a while. Then Rin stopped. Her eyes locked on a distant shape, half buried in the dirt, surrounded by thorned roots. A symbol glowed faintly on its surface. Eli recognized it. He knelt, brushing the dirt away. A stasis door. Rin's face had gone pale. No, she said. It's the lid. Before Eli could respond, a tremor rocked the ground beneath them. Rin's eyes widened. It's waking up. Eli stood. What is? She turned to him, voice trembling. They didn't bury me to kill me. They buried me to keep me near it, to make sure. No one opened it. Another tremor. The ground behind them cracked. In the distance. Something howled deeper, louder, more unnatural than before. Eli raised his weapon instinctively. What the hell is under there? Rin looked at him, eyes filled with something worse than fear. Memory. A weapon, she whispered. Or worse, he should have left her behind, but something stopped him. The sky darkened, not from clouds but from movement. Eli looked up. A slow shadow passed overhead, massive and silent. Rin's hand clutched his arm before he could speak. That's not one of your ships, she whispered. No, he said, already raising his scanner. That's something else. The scanner pulsed erratically. Whatever was flying above them emitted no signal, no transponder, nothing measurable, just a void in the sky, like something the planet itself refused to recognize. Then, just as silently, it vanished beyond the ridgeline. They didn't breathe until it was gone. Eli and Rin crouched beside the stasis lid again. Rin's voice was tense, laced with restrained panic. I wasn't just left here. I was part of a containment team. My people thought I was bonded to it psychically, genetically, spiritually. I don't even know. Eli blinked. Why would they think that? Because I touched it, she said, once. As a child, she moved her sleeve aside and showed him a scar on her forearm, perfectly circular, like a brand. Eli leaned in. The edges shimmered faintly, humming with latent energy. After that, Rin said, they said I was marked, that it would wake again if I lived. So they put me near it, alive, a fail-safe trigger. Eli felt a chill. You're saying they left you here not to die, but to be a key? She nodded. They believed the creatures would kill me, but if they didn't, if I survived long enough, then it meant the time had come. Eli exhaled slowly. Time for what? She looked him dead in the eye. For it to return. They trekked uphill toward a higher vantage point. From there, Eli could see the ruins stretching out for miles. Vast, symmetrical, not random at all, a buried structure. The tip of a mega-complex, or a ship. Where exactly are we? He asked, scanning the terrain. This planet wasn't always this way, Rin replied. It was once a spiritual center, a convergence point. Multiple systems fed into it. Stargates, she nodded, ancient ones. They collapsed or were destroyed when something happened. You mean that thing underground? She was quiet. Eli pulled out a small transponder from his belt and activated it. A blue light blinked once, then died. No signal, he muttered. Either it's the atmosphere, or we're being jammed. Then his cum unit buzzed. Static. Then a voice crackling. Double quotes. Dr. Mercer, this is Outpost Theta. Are you reading? We detected a sudden spike. What's your status? Eli jumped. This is Dr. Mercer. I'm alive. I found someone. She's not hostile. I repeat, not hostile. She might be a key to this site's activation. Say again, Mercer. More. Static. Then, you're ordered to fall back to extraction point Echo 9. Now, something's moving. Big. You have 30 minutes. The signal cut off. Eli turned to Rin. They're coming for me. They'll want to detain you. Maybe worse. No, she said. That's what humans do to things they don't understand. He flinched at that but didn't deny it. They moved quickly across the crumbling bridge of an old skyrail system. Rotted cables groaned beneath their feet. The wind had a bitter chemical smell. Far below, massive reptilian shapes slithered in and out of the broken cities, cracks, things long forgotten. Rin paused. She closed her eyes. Something's calling again, she said. Beneath us. Eli glanced down. The thing underground. No, she said. Worse. The system around it. She knelt and placed a hand on the metal surface. Faint lines glowed to life under her touch, like veins of light moving beneath ancient skin. It's not just a prison, she whispered. It's a control node. The creatures here, the storms, the signals, they're all part of it. Eli frowned. Like a biosphere, a failsafe. He stared at her. A planetary failsafe. She nodded. Whatever's down there, it wasn't meant to escape. This entire planet became its cage. And she swallowed. I was made part of the lock. They reached a partially intact tower near the extraction zone. Eli pulled her into cover as his team's dropship came into view. It hovered silently at the edge of a ravine. Engines humming. Eli activated his beacon. Within seconds, a trio of armed figures emerged from the ship, heavy suits, visors down, weapons trained on them. One of them stepped forward. Dr. Mercer, the man said through the comms. You're a difficult man to find. Commander Hodge, Eli said. I've got someone with me. She's not dangerous, but she's important. She's bonded to the site. She's alien. She's not the threat, Eli insisted. The real danger is below us. There's a system waking up. Something buried. We need to study it, not run. Commander Hodge looked past him at Rin, hand tightening on his rifle. Orders are clear, he said. Return with the specimen. No exceptions. Eli stepped in front of her. Double quote, no, she's not a specimen. She's a person. Hodge's visor darkened. You're obstructing a recovery mission, and you're sleepwalking into something that might kill all of us. There was a tense pause. Then Hodge raised his calm. HQ, we've got a situation. Dr. Mercer's compromised. He refuses to comply, requesting override protocol. Rin suddenly stepped forward. Every soldier lifted their rifle. Wait, Eli shouted. But Rin raised her arm and her skin lit up. The implant on her chest pulsed violently. The air around her shimmered. The ground began to tremble. One of the soldiers dropped to one knee, clutching his head. The others backed away, shouting. Hodge screamed into the cum. What the hell is she doing? Then silence. The light faded. The shaking stopped. Rin stood perfectly still, breathing hard. Eli rushed to her. What did you do? She looked at him with tears in her eyes. I unlocked something. They didn't take the ship. The soldiers were unconscious, stable, but overwhelmed by whatever signal Rin had triggered. Eli carried a medkit and helped her down the hill. As alarms from the dropship blared, a voice played on loop from the ship's AI. Stasis breach detected. Evacuate immediately. They made it back to the stasis lid by nightfall. Rin knelt beside it. It's pulsing now, she said. It knows I'm near. It's learning through me. Reactivating. Eli stood beside her, trying to stay calm. What happens if it opens? She looked at him, voice flat. Everything ends. Eli stared down at the lines of alien symbols on the lid. Then we don't let it open. Rin turned her head. It's not that simple. It doesn't unlock like a door. It awakens like a memory. She paused. If I die, it dies. Eli froze. Connected to it, more than that. My consciousness might be the last seal. Eli sat down hard. He looked around at the ruined world. The monsters, the broken gates, the strange weather, all of it designed, ancient, maybe even deliberate. You were a child when you touched it, he said. That wasn't your fault. It doesn't care, she said quietly. It just waits. Eli sighed, rubbing his face. We'll find a way. There has to be another option. She looked at him for a long moment, then softly asked, "Why are you helping me?" He hesitated, then replied, "Because you shouldn't have to face this alone. Not again." The next morning, the stasis lid opened a crack, just enough to hiss. Eli backed away, weapon drawn. Rin stood her ground. From the thin opening, a voice emerged, not spoken, but felt in both their minds. "The gate has been tested. The memory holds." Eli clutched his head. "What the hell is that?" Rin's eyes rolled back briefly. Her body stiffened. Then she fell to her knees, whispering, "It's speaking, through me." The stasis lid glowed brighter. Ancient circuitry came to life. Light traveled along forgotten paths in the stone, and spread outward. Eli grabbed her shoulders. "Stay with me, Rin." She opened her eyes, and whispered something he didn't expect. "You need to run." She wasn't just left to die, she was buried with a secret. The stasis lid cracked wider with a sharp hiss of escaping pressure. A dense mist poured from its edges, chilling the already frigid air around them. Eli dragged Rin away from the expanding fissure, her body limp in his arms. Her skin pulsed faintly with violet lines, her implant reacting, glowing in rhythm with the lights on the monolith. "Rin," Eli whispered urgently, crouching beside her. "Talk to me. Stay with me." Her eyelids fluttered. "It's awake." Eli looked back. The symbols along the stasis vault's edge had shifted from inert stone to bright, flowing data. Glyphs rippled like code across the surface, ancient yet frighteningly precise. The entire platform beneath them began to hum. "What is it?" he asked. "What's inside?" She forced herself upright, shivering violently. "Not what? Who?" Eli's blood ran cold. They stumbled away from the vault, higher into the broken hills beyond the ruin, seeking cover. Eli set up his portable scanner again, hiding them beneath a collapsed satellite array. The device buzzed. "Energy signatures are spiking across this whole valley," he muttered. "Whatever that thing is, it's syncing with local systems. It's waking the planet." Rin's eyes stayed fixed on the horizon. "Then we don't have long." Eli glanced at her. "Rin, if you're the key, what happens if you walk away from it? If we just leave?" She shook her head. "It will follow. Through me." Hours passed. They stayed low in the ruins, avoiding overhead drones. Rin said they were old surveillance units, but now repurposed, watching, tracking. Eli used one of his last encrypted combursts to contact Earth Command again, but no response. Either jamming or command had gone dark intentionally. "Too quiet," Eli muttered. "Something's wrong. We're cut off. They're leaving us here." He looked at Rin. "You said it needs you to open, but it's been dormant all this time. Why now?" Rin hesitated. "Because it sensed you too." Eli blinked me. She nodded. "You touched the stasis surface. You activated the first sequence. That made it curious. You're not genetically compatible, but you're emotionally compatible. You care." "I'm not the one with the glowing implant," he argued. "No," she said. "But you're the only one who ever looked at me like I was more than a liability." Eli fell silent. Then a long, rumbling tone echoed across the valley, constant, like the heartbeat of a god. The ground shook gently, and far in the distance, one of the ruined spires lit up. Then another, and another. They weren't ruins, they were receivers. They reached a tall observation deck near the edge of the old city. From there, they saw a circular basin, covered in fog, at the heart of the entire ruin network. The fog was rising now, revealing a massive, buried dome, its top opening like an eye. "It's not just a vault," Eli said slowly. "It's a broadcast system." Rin nodded. "And it's calling." Eli zoomed in with his binocular lens. In the center of the dome, a figure. Tall, perfectly still, encased in layered armor, fused to the structure itself. Not alive, not dead, not machine. "What is that?" Eli breathed. Rin's voice dropped to a whisper. "The first witness." They took shelter in a tunnel beneath the old transport lines. Rin sat curled near the wall, arms wrapped around her knees. She hadn't spoken in an hour. Eli sat opposite her, staring at his hands. "We're missing something. Something bigger." She looked up. "My people thought this place was evil. A cursed tomb. That's why they sent me to die near it." "Why you?" "I come from the Devra caste," she said. "The ones born with the sight. We were bred to connect with ancient tech, a living interface. But the moment I reacted to this sight as a child, they branded me dangerous." Eli nodded. "So they abandoned you instead of learning why?" "They feared the old gods," she whispered. "Feared the mistakes of the past. But they didn't destroy the site. They preserved it. That's what scares me most. Eli stared at her. You think they're planning to come back? No, she said. I think they never left. I think someone still wants to open it. Just not us. Suddenly, the wall near them hissed. A hidden panel slid open. They both jumped back. Inside, a glowing conduit, leading downward. Lights flickered alive, welcoming them. Eli exchanged a look with Rin. It's inviting us in. The path led to a sub-vault filled with control interfaces and relics alien machines. Still running after thousands of years, a pedestal sat in the center. Rin approached slowly. I remember this, she said. From the vision I had as a child. She placed her hand on it. Instantly, holograms sprang up around them. Galaxy, star maps, ancient war data. A deep voice, not mechanical but conscious, spoke in perfect translation. We bore witness to extinction. We offered unity. We were rejected, so we preserved memory, waiting for those who would not fear it. Eli whispered, it's the AI, it's still here. The voice continued, the child carries imprint. The human brings balance. A choice must be made. Suddenly, a new hologram appeared. Earth. Then next to it a timeline. A red line approached. A blinking mark. Rin, Eli said, heart racing. That's our timeline. The AI spoke again. The cycle repeats. Civilizations rise, then fall. The window to break it is closing. Eli stood frozen. Why Earth? Why now? Rin looked around, her voice shaky. Because Earth is next. She turned to him. My people triggered this long ago. They feared the power inside and tried to bury it. But the AI's program doesn't stop. It identifies threats across the stars, including your kind. Eli clenched his fists. We're not a threat. We're explorers. That's what they said too, she whispered. They didn't notice the figure at first. A tall silhouette stepped through the far corridor, cloaked in worn armor, bearing a glyph identical to Rin's caste mark. Eli raised his weapon. Who are you? The figure lowered his hood. He was Devron, same species as Rin, but his eyes were silver, artificial, augmented. I am Watcher Cyril, he said, and I have come to finish what our ancestors failed to. Rin stepped back. You were part of the first circle. Yes, he replied. I stayed behind, hidden, waiting, guiding the signal. Your reactivation woke the first witness. Now the cycle can complete. You're insane, she hissed. You want this thing to spread? No, he said calmly. I want it to cleanse. Eli moved between them. You're trying to activate it fully. That's why my team lost contact. You jammed our signals. I did, Cyril said. And I'll stop anyone who stands in the way of rebirth. He raised his hand. The walls came alive. Dozens of small drones materialized, forming into weaponized units. Red lights flared. Run, Eli shouted. He fired at the wall as the room collapsed into chaos. They escaped down the service tunnel, drones chasing them through tight metallic corridors. Rin turned mid-sprint, slamming her hand against a control rune. A blast door dropped, crushing the drones behind them. Breathing hard, they emerged into a vertical shaft leading upward. Eli glanced at her. What's at the top? Rin's face was pale. The surface control relay, the last override. If we reach it, can we shut the whole thing down? She hesitated. If we reach it, we can decide what happens next. They climbed at each rung, felt like a race against time. The planet rumbled again, worse now. The broadcast towers had all gone active. In the far distance, a beam of blue light shot skyward from the stasis dome like a signal. When they reached the top, the control platform was already active, holograms spinning, readings flashing. Rin approached the central panel. Eli scanned the horizon. Dozens of ships approached in the distance, not human, not friendly. They're responding to the signal, he said. The entire sector is being summoned. Rin reached for the control core. Eli stopped her. Rin, are you sure this is what you want? Her eyes welled with tears. I was born to stop this, but maybe I was also meant to decide if it should begin. She touched the core. It pulsed, awaiting her command. Two options appeared. One, glyph silence the beacon. Lock it forever. Another glyph broadcast the full signal. Let all remember. She looked to Eli. He nodded. You already know what to do. She closed her eyes. Her hand hovered over the first glyph. Then the console shut off. A shadow fell over them. Cyril had arrived. What they found wasn't a weapon. It was a warning the moment the console went dark. Eli spun around, weapon raised. Sorrel stood in the archway to all.com, and impossibly composed. His silver eyes reflected the flickering blue glow of the now silent relay core. Behind him, thin ripple of drones hovered like a cloud of metallic locusts. "I warned you," Sorrel said, stepping into the chamber, "but warnings are meaningless to those who still hope." Rin stepped between him and the console. "You don't understand what you're doing." Sorrel's voice was level. "On the contrary, I understand perfectly. I've been preparing for this moment my entire life. You're awakening something that doesn't belong in our time," she snapped. He turned to Eli. "You're human. Your species believes it's climbing toward enlightenment, but all civilizations climb the same ladder, and when they reach the top, they fall every single time. The only difference is who decides the terms of their fall." Eli clenched his jaw. "So you'd rather burn everything just to prove you're right?" Sorrel smiled faintly. "No. Intend to finish the cycle before your kind gets a chance to repeat the last one." He stepped forward, palm out. The relay console behind Rin lit up again, responding not to Sorrel but to her presence. "I can't stop it now," she whispered. "It knows we're all here." The relay pulsed, projecting an image between them. A galaxy, our galaxy fracturing into dying stars and scorched planets. A timeline overlay showed dozens of extinction events blinking in red, with Earth highlighted in a growing sphere. It was not a prophecy, it was a pattern. Sorrel extended a hand. "Come with me, Rin. You're not like them. You're Devran, bonded to the old code. We can guide the release, temper it." Rin shook her head. "You don't temper fire by pouring it into more dry forests." "This isn't fire," Sorrel said softly. "It's remembrance." Eli stepped beside her. "She's not going anywhere." Sorrel's eyes narrowed. "Then neither of you are leaving." He gestured once. The drone surged forward. Eli fired, hitting. 2. Rin dropped low, activating a barrier field from her wrist. A pale shimmer snapped into place, blocking the first wave. But the drones split, flanking from both sides. Eli grabbed her hand. Back, into the corridor. They ran. The tower shook as the AI's pulse intensified, feeding into the buried city's network. Lights burst alive in ancient tunnels. Rusted security systems sputtered awake after millennia of silence. Rin and Eli dropped into a maintenance chute, sliding into the lower levels as Sorrel's drones tore through walls above. They landed hard in a forgotten control room beneath the central relay. Rin pulled herself up, bruised but breathing. "This place, ... It's a neural chamber." Eli looked around. Transparent walls surrounded a small platform at the center, with a floating orb pulsating gently above it. "What is that?" She approached it slowly. "The mind core. A direct interface to the witness." Rin touched the orb. A tidal wave of memory slammed into her. Visions flashed through her brain, millions of years compressed into seconds. Civilizations rising, linking across stars, uniting through shared language and thought. Then one by one, shattering. Greed, fear, war, collapse. She saw Earth, bright, new, naive, and then she saw herself, not as she was, but as she was meant to be, standing at the nexus of choice, between preservation and purge. Eli touched her shoulder. "What do you see?" She opened her eyes. "It's not just a warning. It's an invitation." To what? To be better, or be erased. Above them, the entire tower rumbled. A voice, ancient and immense, echoed in the chamber, not through speakers, but through their bones. "Two minds stand at the threshold. One remembers, one denies." It was the witness, awake now, aware. The human holds compassion. The Devra holds memory. Both required. Eli backed away. "It's talking to us. The choice cannot be delayed. The system has been primed." A new vision surged into their minds. Earth, in the present. Ships launching, weapons being tested, pollution spreading, power concentrated. The signal reveals the route. Those who listen may survive. Those who ignore will not. Rin fell to her knees. It's offering Earth a choice, to remember, or be reset. Suddenly, the chamber's side door blew open. Cyril stormed in, hand extended. The mind core pulsed violently. "You don't get to decide this," he shouted. "She's not ready. She was never meant to be the final link." The drones swarmed again. Eli fired, taking down 2 before being tackled by the third. They rolled across the floor, Eli slammed the butt of his weapon into its sensor node, killing it, but another leapt from the corridor. It never reached him. Rin, still glowing, raised her arm. A wave of force shattered the incoming drone mid-air. The mind core responded, spinning faster, brighter. Cyril froze. "You've bonded." She stood slowly. "I didn't choose to. It chose me." Cyril's eyes went wide with rage. "Then you've doomed us all." Rin placed both hands on the orb. The witness's voice returned, but gentler now, calmer. "The moment of transmission has come. One path leads to forgetting, the other to transformation." Eli stood beside her. "What does it want you to do?" Rin whispered. "To send the signal, broadcast everything. The memories, the histories, all of it. Every mistake, every extinction, every lost world, into every mind connected to a star drive network, including Earth." Eli swallowed. "That would change everything. Governments, beliefs, maybe even sanity." Rin nodded. "It would also stop the next war before it starts." Cyril shouted, "No, humanity won't listen. They'll fear it. They'll destroy it like every other race before them." Eli stepped forward. "Maybe, but maybe not. I've seen what humans can become, and I've seen what fear turns us into." He looked at Rin. "We're not perfect, but if we're told the truth, the full truth, maybe we'll finally do better." Rin looked down at her hands, then at the orb, then at the man who saved her. She made her decision. She activated the core. A column of light shot into the sky. Across the planet, every ancient structure lit up. The stasis dome cracked fully open. The witness emerged, rising not as a body, but as a formless projection, filling the sky with memory. In orbit, ships Deveran, human, and others halted as systems blinked, and feeds were overridden. The signal went out. In a control room aboard Earth's lunar relay station, a technician fell to the floor, tears running down his cheeks, as visions of alien cities bloomed in his mind. In a political war room, generals stopped arguing as a shared vision of a dying civilization swept through them. On colony ships, children wept with emotions they couldn't describe, empathy from a world they'd never known. Every star drive network, every interface, linked to interstellar data awakened. Back on the planet, Cyril collapsed. His drones dropped lifeless. He looked up at the projection overhead, face twisted with defeat. "You've doomed them. They'll tear themselves apart." Eli sat beside Rin as the lights faded. "Or they'll rise," he said. Rin stared at the sky. "For the first time they know." But then a pulse, low and steady. The mind core began to tremble. "What's happening?" Eli asked. Rin's eyes widened. "It's not stopping." The witness's voice echoed one last time. "Transmission complete. Lock cycle disengaged." Eli stood. "What does that mean?" Rin looked pale. It wasn't just a message. She turned to him slowly. It was a beacon. The signal wasn't a message, it was a summons. The sky, once still and forgotten, now burned with columns of light. The ruins responded like a living machine. Every dormant tower, gate, and shattered bridge vibrated with ancient resonance. Beneath their feet, the entire planet felt like it had begun to breathe again, but not with relief, with anticipation. Rin backed away from the mind core as its surface rippled and turned dark like ink spilled into water. Eli stood beside her, rifle forgotten in his hands. "What does it mean?" he asked, voice low. Rin's eyes locked with his. The witness wasn't just preserving memories, she said. It was waiting for a reply. Eli blinked. From who? She looked skyward. Whoever left it behind. Cyril was barely conscious. The signal had burned through his enhancements, severing his command over the drones. He lay slumped against the control platform, silver blood leaking from the corners of his mouth. Eli approached him, cautious. "You still think we should have stayed silent?" he asked. Cyril laughed weakly. "You think you've saved something? You've awakened a star-buried tomb." That wasn't a warning, it was an invitation. To what? To the architects, the ones who seeded the witness across worlds. The ones who left, or were driven away. Rin's voice cut in. Driven away by what? Cyril looked at her with haunted eyes. By what's coming now? An alarm blared from the platform. A holographic star map expanded into the air, stars glittering across a galactic canvas. Then, slowly, one by one, systems began to go dark, blinking out like candles in the wind. Not exploded, not destroyed, silenced. Eli pointed. "That's the outer fringe. colonized trade hubs. Some of those are human settlements. Rin stared at the trajectory line now moving toward Earth's system. She said one word: harvesters. The three of them, Li Rin and the injured Sorel, made their way out of the relay chamber as the ruins began to tremble. Parts of the stone floor shifted like living tissue, revealing buried conduits underneath. Rin glanced at Eli. We have to reach orbit. We need to warn Earth. We already broadcast the memories, Eli said. If that wasn't warning enough. No, she interrupted. The signal had layers. The deeper data, the emergency encryption codes, required direct confirmation. Only someone bonded to the core can unlock it. Eli stopped. You mean you? She nodded. And only from orbit. The system has a failsafe. It assumes planetary networks can be compromised. Eli exhaled slowly. Then we are going up. They reached the crash zone where Eli's emergency drop pod had landed days ago. Its comms were fried, but the guidance beacons still blinked just enough for one last emergency uplink. ETA 3 minutes for evac drone, Eli said. Watching the readings, Rin looked up. The sky, still glowing with signal light, now shimmered with something else. Stars blinked unnaturally. No. They were moving. She grabbed Eli's arm. We don't have 3 minutes. In orbit above the planet, a human scout ship caught the first shadow. It wasn't a vessel, not really. It was a shape, blacker than space, outlined only by the way it blocked starlight. The ship's AI tried to scan it, failed, tried again, failed. Then, one word appeared on every terminal at once: unknown. And then the ship was gone. Back on the surface, the evac drone screamed through the atmosphere. It slowed just enough for them to board before heat shielding buckled. Eli shoved Cyril into a stasis pod, locked him in, and climbed up with RYN. As the drone lifted into the stratosphere, Rin looked down at the ruins. They were no longer ruins. They were awake, and they were broadcasting, in low orbit. They connected to an emergency relay. Rin stepped into the pod's neural interface and let the system scan her. A cascade of light swept through her body. Alien data patterns surged around her like a storm. Eli watched, helpless, as she clenched her jaw against the pain. The transmission began. But it wasn't just data, it was a story. From Earth to the farthest colony outposts, civilians, soldiers, and leaders alike received one thing: a vision of the first fall. Of galaxies devoured by what was never meant to be awakened. Of how every civilization that touched the witness had faced a choice: preserve truth and face judgment, or bury it and repeat the cycle. As the transmission spread, one name began to echo from the deeper layers of the AI memory. A name repeated across languages, across centuries. The Hollow. Eli whispered it. What is it? Rin stepped from the pod, drained but alive. It's not a species. It's not a weapon. It's absence. Absence. She nodded. They consume only what resists remembering. Species that bury truth. Civilizations that ignore warning signs. They don't destroy out of malice. They erase as if cleaning a wound. Eli looked away. And we just lit a beacon. No, Rin said softly. We lit a chance. One last chance. The evac drone entered the human fleet's airspace, aboard the flagship Resolute Dawn. Command received their signal. Within minutes, Eli and Rin stood before the Council's emergency committee. Streamed live across ships and colonies. Eli explained what happened. Rin transmitted the core's message again, and for the first time in recorded history, humanity was united by fear not of each other, but of what was coming. Some argued to fight, some argued to run, but Rin said only one thing: they don't want your extinction, they want your honesty, your memory, your choice. That night, aboard the ship, Eli and Rin stood by a viewing window. The planet below was calm now, almost peaceful, but beyond it, the stars were shifting and closer. Earth will panic, Eli said quietly. They should, she replied, but they should also prepare. He turned to her. What happens if we fail? Rin's voice was steady. Then this becomes another story added to the witness, another failed echo. Eli looked down. And if we succeed? She turned to face him. Then we become the first species in history to learn from another's mistakes. Suddenly, alarms screamed throughout the Resolute Dawn. A voice crackled over the intercom. Contact. Unknown vessels entering Sol's Edge. Multiple signals, not responding to any communication. Eli and Rin locked eyes. It had begun. Back in orbit over the ruined planet, deep beneath its surface. A final signal pulsed once from the mind core. It wasn't sent to humans, or to Rin's people. It went deeper, into subspace. And something answered. Something that had once walked among stars as gods. Something that had watched countless witnesses go dark. Something that had waited for this very moment to return. The Hollow had come to judge, but humanity had won. Last answer. Space was no longer silent. From the edge of Sol System, the Hollow arrived formless, colossal, a fleet of shadows wrapped in gravitational distortions and dark geometry. Their shapes defied the laws of known physics, and their presence bent subspace like a collapsing mirror. No weapons. No transmissions. Just movement. Forward. Unstoppable. Inside the resolute dawn. Alarms screamed through steel corridors. Command staff barked orders, activating every defensive measure Earth had ever built. Dozens of ships formed into coordinated battle formation near the moon. They knew it wouldn't matter. Eli watched the feed from the bridge's tactical screen as hollow vessels crossed Neptune's orbit. At that speed, Earth had hours no more. Across the fleet, a single command echoed: "Prepare for confrontation." But Eli said softly, "No, prepare for contact." Rin stood in the central relay chamber of the Resolute Dawn, her skin still marked with faint glowing glyphs, the last living link to the witness. The core interface projected one message: looping. THIS is not war. This is measurement. She turned to Eli. "It's not a test of strength. It's a test of self-awareness." He nodded slowly. "Then we give them what they came for. How we remind them that we remember." In the central auditorium of the ship, a global transmission was prepared. It would go out through the same neural frequencies the witness used to broadcast, not to ships or satellites, but to minds. Every living human connected through star drive networks, augmented tech, implansive and subconscious resonance. Everyone. Rin and Eli stood before the feed. Behind them, holographic data formed a ring, a reflection of humanity's history. War, innovation, brutality, beauty, contradiction, the good and the terrible. All of it. No filters, no justifications. Rin spoke first, her voice steady, echoing across the void. "To those who watch, we are the descendants of billions, who struggled, who rose, and who failed. We carry their memory." Eli followed, standing beside her. "We are not perfect. We have made war. We have destroyed. But we have also created. We have learned." Rin continued. "You erase what forgets, what hides truth. We offer ours freely." They placed their hands on the core. The feed surged with memory. The Hollow paused, not stopped, paused. Paused. From their frontmost vessel, a ripple of subspace distortion formed. A shape emerged, not a ship, but a being, not alien in form, but in presence. A projection formed on the Resolute Dawn's bridge, seen by all, felt by all, without ever truly being there. It stood tall, dark as space itself, a face without features. Its voice spoke through thought. "You remember?" No one replied. It walked slowly toward Rin and Eli's projection. "You offer truth." Eli nodded. "We do. Even the parts we're ashamed of." The being turned its head, as if listening to something beyond the stars. "Then one question remains." The galaxy dimmed in the projection. "Do you protect what you remember?" Rin stepped forward. "Not always, but we try, and we die for it." Eli added, "And we keep trying." "Then, your cycle is not closed." There was silence. "You will be watched. You will be remembered, and you will be warned again, once." The being raised a hand. The stars behind it blinked back to life. The colony systems that had gone dark began to reappear on the relay's map. Not destroyed, shut off, tested, and now spared. In a blink, the projection vanished. The hollow ships receded, not with urgency or fear, but as if simply moving to the next point in a sequence. Not enemies. Judges. Eli looked around the bridge. No alarms, no gunfire, just stunned silence. The fleet didn't fire a single shot. Humanity had survived without a war. Hours later, as the adrenaline faded, the questions began to pour in. What were the Hollow? Why did they erase others? Why spare humanity? No one had all the answers, but one answer became undeniable. The truth saved them. Back on Earth, across every broadcast, people saw the message over and over. Remember. The witness remained active but silent, its vaults now considered sacred, not for worship, but for study. Rin became a liaison between species alien and human, proof that shared history could unite what fear once divided. Sorel, still recovering, was taken to a secure habitat. He no longer spoke of cleansing or judgment. He only asked once, quietly, "Do you think they'll come back?" Rin looked out the viewport at the stars. They never left. A few weeks later, under the pale glow of a moonlit sky on Earth, Rin stood with Eli, outside a memorial site constructed at the crater where the first alien ruins had been uncovered. Hundreds had gathered, not to mourn, but to remember. A new tradition had begun, the day of witnessing, a reminder not just of survival but of what it took to earn it. Not firepower, not conquest, but honesty, memory, truth, Ryn turned to Eli. "You never gave up on me, even when I was just a discarded exile buried on a world no one cared about." Eli smiled. "Maybe that's what made you human." She laughed softly. "Don't insult me." They stood in silence a moment longer. Then Rin whispered, "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we stayed quiet?" Eli looked toward the stars. "No," he said, "because silence was never the answer." The end.